Hey, I just did a yoga practice and I will share the link below because it was like really wonderful, and I want to speak to one thing that the yoga instructor, her name is Echo, she told something, or she shared something, and I wanted to share this thought because it really resonated with me and with my experience in yoga, but you can take this for life as well and how you move in life. Because we did one practice or one asana, it was like the legs were spreaded wide and like about 80 degrees, and then leaning forward. And there she shared a thought that in yoga it's so important, and that's in general, not only in this asana but in general, my experience as well, is that it's so important to know your edge and to explore your individual edge, and not to bow down very deeply just because the yoga instructor or the people in your life do it and can do it, and because they seem more flexible in this area, in this asana, and to overextend yourself and leave the yoga practice with pain, for example, because you try to bow so deeply as the yoga instructor told you to do, or as you saw with the people around you, that they can go so deeply and almost touch the ground with their heads or their forehead, and you look at them and you think like, oh, I should do this as well, and then you overextend, even if it causes pain in that moment. And that's how you, like, something where it's so important to learn in yoga and in other sports as well, or movements, but also in life, and I will come to this in a few seconds. To know where your edge is and to explore it, and it takes time. It's not that you are in the pose and you know, oh, okay, that's how far I can go. But with each practice, I more and more explore or get to know myself and my body as well, how far I can go. And that's not only the body that learns that, but it's such a practice for the mind to be okay with, like, not going as far as others can. But there are asanas, like asanas is the word for poses, one could say, in yoga, like downward dog or something like that, or this where you go forward. There are asanas where I can go really deep because I'm very flexible in that area, or my body shows flexibility in those areas. And there are other asanas where there's a lot of stiffness, and also like it feels like blocked energy, where I can't go as deep as the yoga instructor or other people in life. And that's not a bad thing, that's completely normal, and it's so important to know that and to not act on it because others do it, and then leave the situation, the yoga instruction or the environment in life with a deep pain, because you overextended and tried to do it as the others did it. Just because they did it, it doesn't mean that you have the capacity right now and the flexibility of it, in terms of your body, but also in terms of your resources in life, to be in a situation just because others can stay up until 11 p.m. and wake up at 5 p.m. at 5 a.m. and they have they don't need that much sleep in their phase of the life right now. It doesn't mean that you have the resources or the capacity to do the same. Like, just because others can work 6 or 10 hours straight and are highly productive in a flow state, doesn't mean that this is your goal, or this shouldn't be your goal to reach it as well, just because others can do it. Because you're an individual, and you might need breaks in between. You might need movement in between. That's something I experience for myself, because I sit a lot of on the computer and do stuff for the university there, and it's a lot of sitting. And I figured out for myself that even though the others, they can sit for hours straight, and sometimes that's possible for me as well, but in some phases I know that it's not possible, and that I need the movement in between, that I need movement before I sit down to work, and that I need breaks in between. And on some days I can work for hours straight and it's no problem, and I'm completely focused and it's like flowing. And on other days it takes sometimes 2 hours to get in the flow, or and I feel like unproductive, and I feel like I got nothing done. But that's not true, because it's also an experience. And when you face that's really awesome. And you find out where your edge is, and you sit with it, but don't overextend, and don't force yourself to go as deep as the instructors tell you to do, or as you see on the internet, or as you see with your friends, that they can do something that you feel uncomfortable with in your body or in your experience. And just because others like to party a lot, for example, and like to stay up on the weekends until 4 a.m., it doesn't have to be the thing for you. And if you make the experience that you don't want to do it, and you feel uncomfortable each time you do something just because others do it, then that's an awesome sign from your body, or it's so awesome that you have the connection to yourself to recognize that. And then you can choose to do it different, do it your individual way. And that's not a loss, or one could say it's not a bad thing that you can't do some things. There are other people who also can't do it, or also feel uncomfortable and going that far, or doing the things. And you're not alone with this experience, but in your bubble, in your environment, or where you see the videos you watch, or the surrounding you're in, the people you're surrounded by, those are they might show you that they might do something and feel very comfortable, with something and some experience, but you don't, and you feel like you're the only one who doesn't want to do it. And that's okay, and that's not a bad thing. And in other bubbles, there are many people who also wouldn't like to do it and would feel uncomfortable. And you're not alone with this experience. You might feel alone in this bubble because the people you're surrounded with, they have a different lifestyle in some ways, in some areas in their life. But there are many people, many people, much more than you can imagine, who have the same experience and wouldn't like to do it as well. And to sum all this up, I would say that it's so important, and it takes time to know where your yes is and where your no is, and to know your edge and to discover your edge and to get to know yourself in areas of your life, but also in yoga movement or in other movements as well, and to know and get to know what feels comfortable for you. Because the thing is that we trained ourselves to overextend, to overproduce, to be productive all the time, and in that process of being productive for society and looking good for others and the programs we learned as we grew up, in this process of constantly overextending and going over our edge, we lost touch to what we really want, and we lost touch to and a feeling for what feels good for ourselves, for our body, because we gone too far in many moments and many situations and tried to be productive and went to work even though we knew that we needed rest, because our body showed us with sickness and tiredness that we need rest. But we forced ourselves so much to overextend and to overproduce and to be overproductive that we lost touch to what really feels good for us. And that's a process. It's a process to get to know yourself again and get to know your edges again, but to bring awareness to the points where you feel uncomfortable maybe, and you don't have to change it immediately. You don't have to tell your friends, oh, I won't go out with you this evening, or I won't stay up until 4 a.m. But bring awareness to it and make the experience again and again, and bring awareness to it if it feels good, or if you just do it because other people do it, and bring awareness to if you leave the situation, the environment, the movements with a pain, a physical pain or a mental pain or an exhaustion, or if you feel uplifted afterwards. And that's a sign for me. If I feel uplifted afterwards, then I know, okay, I was in tune with what feels good for me, and I kept my boundaries, and I knew when to stop and when to move. And if I feel drained and exhausted and maybe even a physical pain or a mental pain, then I know that the situation, the people I was with, there was something where I didn't set a healthy boundary and didn't respond to my body or my mind or my intuition, who clearly told me that I need to stop and rest or take it slower or don't go too far. And yeah, that's a sign for me how to be in tune with what feels good and what doesn't, and to know my yeses and to know my nos, and to explore my edges and to explore like the whole experience. And the moments and movements and social environments and functions, and like every time bringing awareness to what do I need right now, and not like, even though other people, they seem to be perfectly fine in this situation, that also doesn't mean that they are fine in this situation, because we all learn to wear masks, and we are really good at it. We are all really good actors, and we learn to build masks to seem good, to be productive, and to not worry others, and to build a facade to seem good from external point of view. So even though you might feel in some environments that you are the only one who doesn't feel good with this, what's happening, or who doesn't like to stay up that late or go to that restaurant or be with those people, because you might feel that they're like gossiping all the time or whatever it is for you, or be in a yoga session where others can go as deeply, like as the yoga instructor, or like some people, they seem to go so deeply in the pose, in the asana, and you seem or feel like you're the only one who can't go as deep, but there might be other people in the room who overextend just because they don't listen to their body. They overextend to fit in because they also see that the others, they go as deep, and they might see you who doesn't go as deep, and they might be inspired to next time to move slower as well and to don't overextend as well. So you're also an example for, or an inspiration for others, if you trust your instincts and you trust your body and you listen to your body and your mind, and to know when it's enough and to leave a situation when you feel that you want to leave a situation, and you look what feels good for you and not do things just because others are able to do it or seem able to do it. Yeah, and that's a process, and first of all bringing awareness and looking afterwards, how do you feel? Do you feel uplifted and connected to your body, or do you feel drained and exhausted and feel like you need a 5-week vacation, holidays, because it was so draining? So how do you feel afterwards? And don't shame yourself when you feel exhausted and feel that you crossed your boundaries. That's okay, and that's human, and it's totally fine. For real, it's so fine, it's okay, it happens all the time. And we need those situations where we overextend to the next time be more aware in this situation, to be aware and to slow down and to make it slower, or make it to listen to ourselves more and to bring awareness and the thoughts that last time I overextended, I feel drained afterwards, so maybe this time I should be more aware and take little breaks in between to be connected to what I really need in this moment. And so those moments where you overextend or feel exhausted afterwards, that are really necessary, are really helpful and not a bad thing. And don't shame yourself for that, because as I said, it's really important to make those experiences, to know the next time what you need, and to listen to your body or your mind or your intuition. And yeah, I will link the yoga below. And yeah, if you have any thoughts on this or any other opinions, please share them. Really, I would like to hear you and your comments or your thoughts on that, or experiences you had. I think it's also interesting for other people to, maybe not feel alone with some things, because we think that we are alone with something, but because others seem to work it out, but we just see such a little part of the whole experience of other people. We see like such a little part, and there's so much happening, and we don't know if they really feel comfortable in the situation or if they also overextend. And look what feels good for you, and listen to your body, listen to yourself, to your mind. You know what you need, and trust your body again, and trust your intuition, and don't overextend just because others seem to do it and work it out. Yeah, you're an individual and you need individual things which might look different from how others do it, and it's totally fine. Like, for real, it's so fine. And you are right with what you feel, and you're allowed to feel what you feel, and yeah, trust yourself on that.